Hey, moms.
Hey, daughters.
Sabrina's going to share a quote.
From abundance, he took abundance, but still abundance remained.
From abundance, he took abundance, but still abundance remains. That's one of my favorite quotes. We're going to get back to that in a bit. Welcome to the Juggle Is Real,
A mom and daughter show
parenting and mental health
for moms and teens.
episode
16.
Episode 16. Sorry, you have an echo over here. So, Sabrina, what are we going to talk about today?
Jealousy.
We're going to talk about jealousy. So why did we start the show? To navigate through
Our juggles.
to navigate through the juggles, which what we are hoping to do is one, yes, stay accountable and really learn to grow through some of these trickier emotions and really serve as a role model to you moms and to you daughters of how you can too, because these trickier emotions can feel often uncomfortable. And what happens a lot is that we end up avoiding them. Would you say that?
Yes.
Awesome. So we have 5 segments today of how to navigate through the trickier emotion of jealousy. Let's start with this. What is jealousy? And do you know the difference between jealousy and envy? Because mental health, this is why we started the show, is really getting emotionally intelligent. And I have to be completely honest with you. I had a lot of trouble discerning the difference between jealousy and envy. Do you?
I do. I thought they were interchangeable.
Okay, well, they're not. So,
Okay.
and I don't even know, again, when I was looking that up with my friend ChatGPT, it almost looked like it was pathologizing one over the other. And I wouldn't necessarily say so. And I'll just take a stab at that. So jealousy, they're both emotions and they're both different emotions, right? And jealousy is afraid of losing something that you have. And envy is a desire of something that you want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And no, I wouldn't really say one is worse than the other. Would you?
Well,
Just saying that?
no, not really.
Envious or jealous? I would say that they're both what I would say a negative emotion, and negative meaning they're heavier and they can often cause suffering. Right? So that's when I say, as far as pathologizing emotions, we have all of these emotions. It's the totality of being a human, but it's really learning about the emotions of how we can, again, navigate through the trickiness to come to an understanding, to frame it in a way of how we experience it that would be more beneficial to us, meaning we grow through it. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So that's the first segment of what's the difference between jealousy and envy. I would love for Sabrina, segment 2, to share her story.
Which one?
Well, the story, so Sabrina had a soccer tournament in Virginia Beach last week. And a week before, you were suffering.
It was a really hard week.
It was a really hard week, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to break it down from what I recall, because that was almost 2 weeks ago. We were about ready to eat dinner. And do you remember this? Do you know what I'm going to say? Okay. So I'm making dinner. I think this is Thursday. It's not relevant. I'm just trying to get it in sequential order in my head to say it. So we were all together. Yeah, it was definitely Thursday because everybody was home. I asked Caleb, our youngest, to make the table, set the table. And somehow there was a verbal exchange between you two. And you said Caleb was mad at you. And however, the tone of the exchange between both of you, I remember I remarked on your tone. It was actually quite nice. And I just remember remarking on that because tone is a way of how we communicate that often can be received in a negative way. And so you guys were arguing, I'll say that. And I remember saying something about like, wow, okay, what is this about? And Sabrina, I was just really proud of you, of how you answered. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a compliment because normally it doesn't come off nicely
Yeah, it doesn't
when I'm in an argument.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's learned because I'm the same way. And trust me, Sabrina, when I was witnessing you over the years have that tone, I, through the years of this personal development work and life coaching, am realizing that you're getting that from me. Okay. So these are learned behaviors, right?
Mhm.
So like dinner was set and I was just thinking, okay, everything was okay because I complimented you, as Sabrina said. And it's not unusual for you guys to argue over who's going to set the table, who's going to put the forks and knives, all that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
So dinner's ready. We finally sit down and Sabrina's in the bathroom. And this isn't a TMI right here. So she's in the bathroom. We're about ready to sit, we're about ready to eat. We're waiting, waiting, waiting.
Mhm.
And I remember Dad asked where you were. It was like 10 minutes. We finally sat down to eat. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to be honest here. I mean, you were on your period. I remember you were on your period. These are side notes here. This is honest juggle. Because that day, let's just say you left my bathroom not so nice. So that's how I knew she was on her period. I was like, gosh, like, pick for the mess. So I think that's why we didn't even wait for you because I knew that I was thinking you were having some period issues in the bathroom. But now I'm like, okay, we're eating dinner and it's really getting cold. So the guest bathroom is on the same level of where we eat. So
Mhm.
I went over there, I knocked on the door and I said, hey, are you okay? And you're like, and there was just this is learning intuition, right? And also learning like these thoughts of like, should I say something? Should I not? And it was this recognition of the way you answered. It didn't make sense to me, honestly, at that point, because I thought everything was fine and
Mhm.
okay. Then I was thinking that, oh, because she's a little bit more emotional, I hate to use that word, tying that in with period and emotional, because that is not a connotation that I'm trying to say that is so called we should normalize. But I was thinking that. So I said, do you want me to stay? So then I said, I'm opening the door. I opened the door and there you were.
I was crying.
She was crying. She was crying. She was on the floor. And I have to say, this was after the episode that we did with the middle schooler answering those questions of navigating trickier friendships, right? And this is the thing about emotions, right? Is that they don't stop. They keep coming and life likes to show you new situations, new experiences of these complicated emotions, right? Because we're always going to grow. We're always going to have experiences. We're always going to keep creating. So I see her on the floor and I said, what's going on? Because she's crying. And you said,
Well, first off, I'm gonna start with earlier that week was the 2-year anniversary of the passing of my uncle, and we were really close. And I can't talk.
um, can I So my brother passed unexpectedly 2 years ago. And that was the date of his actual December 2nd. Yeah, you're right. So yes, that happened. And
My girl.
your grandfather passed away. That was this week. That's actually going to be on next week's episode. I'm really so profoundly in just deep respect for you for sharing your emotions like this. And then I'm going to share with you next week this concept of the both and. And
Mhm.
so, for those after they finish this episode and want to come to next week's episode, it will be the both. Sabrina, this is the thing of life in general that I have learned with coaching and facilitating breath work is that I can have an agenda, right? Like I can have agenda. We have an agenda right now of this episode of navigating jealousy in friendships. But how to become really skillful in life is learning what is alive in the present moment. That's
Mhm.
mindfulness, right? And so I'm really mindful of you being in recognition of the grief that you are still holding on to and carrying and still experiencing. And when you have these heavier emotions, other emotions that come on make it almost overwhelming,
Mhm.
right? And I just want to share before you even share your story, and if you want me to share your story and you can correct me, is that when things are super overwhelming to the system, which is actually we're going to talk about today. I want to say the system, your body, the nervous system. What I want to say is that when you can learn and understand things and people, you can bring to every situation, everything with much greater compassion, right? And through understanding your body's natural biology, it is a way for you to have greater compassion through not having judgment. And I say that to you because what your experience that you had with your friend, the experience that you are having now, all comes again from your physiologic state. So if you go back to even episodes ago, I don't know if you remember that quote, your physiologic state determines your psychological state,
Mhm.
right? And the psychology of this is funny, right? This is actually segment 3. The psychology of, of jealousy is fear based, it's anger based. Okay. And fear and anger is something that your body is wanting to protect you from. So when we said jealousy is something that you are afraid to lose, you're afraid of losing something, your body, again, just thinks it's trying to stay alive. That's it. Your body thinks it's trying to stay alive. Just like you being sad and grief, like you losing Uncle Randy, you losing Papa recently, these are all survival mechanisms of your body,
Mhm.
right? But just recognizing that. We recognize that first. And later on in this episode, segment 5, I think, or 4, I'll share with you something of how to start to process through it. So do you want me to share the story and you can correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. So Serena went to a new school. And again, she's a sophomore, right? So when Sabrina switched schools, 8th grade, it was a school that was a good 20 minutes away from here. So she left some of her neighborhood friends, her county friends, we'll say that, right?
Mhm.
So then when you came back to the public school here, it was you navigating wanting to make new friends as a sophomore. And that's
Mhm.
tricky, right? And that's why I wanted to really remember saying in one of the earlier episodes, like how courageous and brave that is of you to do that. Because nobody likes to go to a party and not know anybody when they've already created cliques, right?
Mhm.
So that is an amazing, courageous quality for you to take on. And so quickly, because you know how you are, you're just so fun to be with naturally. I mean, you're athletic, you're smart, you're confident, and you are trying to make friends. And it was very easy for you to make friends. And you had friends that you had from before. So
Mhm.
then you started to open up to their friends that they've made. And so quickly, you've made friends. But then recently, you started to become friends with a boy, right?
Yeah.
Just friends
Yeah.
in our neighborhood. And one of her friends in her close circle, it was her ex-boyfriend,
Mhm.
correct? Is that
Yes.
right? And what you were experiencing while you were sad on the ground is you didn't want to. I don't know if you remember this. You didn't even want to tell me, but I knew right away.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I knew right away. And I don't even really know all these girls, but it's just like you become very astute in emotions and what happens with girls. And I think what's helpful is that when you learn to zoom out, you stop taking things so personally, meaning this happens a lot, right? Because
Mhm.
people, we already said, we experience the totality of emotions as humans. So jealousy, clearly, we've all experienced it.
Mhm.
And so this girl that you're friends with who has a boyfriend,
Mm.
it was becoming awkward.
Yeah, but I also talked to her before anytime we would hang out, we would only hang out in like a group. And she said it was perfectly fine.
Okay.
So when it started becoming awkward, I was like,
Why did it become awkward?
I don't know.
What
Well,
were
it's,
you intuiting?
I don't,
You don't know? Okay. And you don't have to share because I still get it, you know? So I said to her before we went to bed, because you were obviously upset and you didn't want to say anything. But then I said to you, go back to that episode of just
Mhm.
remembering because, oh, you were afraid that, when somebody says everything's fine, it's fake because it's obviously not because you
Mhm.
felt it. And people in your group were feeling it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel when you know that?
No, I was upset because I talked to her like 3 different times of like giving her the chance to tell me that she was upset, but she never opened up.
Yeah. And she never opened up, and then did she stop talking to you?
Yeah, basically for
Okay.
about a week.
And do you remember what we said in Maddie's episode that one of the ways that if you're not physically aggressive with somebody, you become relational
Mm,
aggressive, and relational aggressive is silent treatment,
mhm,
right? And silent treatment, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like I like to say, energy doesn't lie. If I came down and I was angry and I said I wasn't, it's like you can tell with nonverbal cues, like what the emotion that I'm feeling in my body and kind of understand, right? Because, like I said, your physiologic state determines your psychological state, right? Because
mhm,
your body doesn't lie unless you're a really good actor. So that's what I wanted to share your story. I want to go back to the psychology of jealousy and empathy, right? Again, so just remembering when I said that jealousy is your friend is afraid of losing something that she already has. That's fear based. That's wanting to protect, right? And her acting out is something called projection. And that happens a lot because you projected onto our son that night at dinner, right?
Or son.
Our Caleb, right? You know, whatever it was, it's if you're feeling something, you take out your emotion on somebody else, right? That's just projection. So there's a way of really understanding her fear she was projecting onto you, even though that you were friends, right? So that can
Mhm,
give you a little bit of understanding. But here's really how I want you to think about this. Okay. So this is the actual tool for navigating these tricky emotions. And I promise you, this is how it's going to make it easy. I'm a student of Stephen Porges' Polyvagal Theory, and I don't expect you to remember this. But again, going back to like, you will be able to have greater compassion for yourself and for anybody else if you, and this is having greater compassion without judgment. Okay. And that's really hard to not have judgment. This you can bring up to me when we go on and we ever talk about, again, what are you wearing these days? Not having judgment is tricky because we're all born with our own temperament and we're also born with our own family experiences and our school experiences and our culture and our society. And now that all happens to impact our own way of thinking and then how we feel and what we do. Okay. All this to say is not having judgment can be tricky. But again, just bringing it back to the biology of your nervous system. And I want you to think of an upside down triangle. How do you do it? An upside down triangle. Perfect. Okay. And if you split that into three, right? And at the lower base of the triangle, it's probably easier for me just to draw this, is you have your brain stem. Okay. So the very first layer, just think of three layers of this upside down triangle. Is first you have your brain stem, and then you're going to have something called your limbic system. And then your third is going to be this front part of your thinking. So your brain stem, your limbic system, and it's called the neocortex. So just think of three different layers. But within your brain stem, you have your breathing, you have your heart rate, and you have your blood pressure, right? You don't have to think about those things. Those are all unconscious, right? You don't have to think, thank God. But that first part of the triangle, the upside down triangle, is the oldest part and it's always going to win. But you don't have to think about it. This middle part here, what I call it the limbic system, is where your emotions live. It's where your habits live. It's where your memories live, where the jealousy and all that kind of, and it's coming from, so we think about jealousy here, it's coming from your body thinking it's under some kind of threat and wants to survive something that they're going to lose. Okay. I know this is a lot, but what I want to tell you here is that in the very top part is your thinking, which includes how you perceive things to be, your perception. Remember your perception? We talked about perception before,
mhm,
right? You can't talk your way out of being jealous. Okay. You can't even think your way out of being jealous because you're not going to be able to trick your body. So, this is why the first thing to do, three things to do when you notice you're thinking, blah, blah, blah is not talking to me, blah, blah, blah is mad at me, blah, blah, blah. Should I not be friends with him? When you notice that kind of thinking, notice it. And how are you going to notice it? Because you feel really uncomfortable, right?
mhm.
You feel really uncomfortable. Where is it? Notice it where it is in your body. It's something I've said to you every single episode, because this is your framework to get through all these trickier emotions. Where did you feel it? You felt it probably build up in your chest because you started to cry, right?
Yeah.
You started to cry and you were crawled up like on the floor because you was just like you're trying to soothe yourself. Okay. So that's the next one. So you're noticing it and then you're naming it. Oh gosh, I'm sad because blah, blah, blah is mad at me. She's a friend. She's in the wide circle of friends. Are these friends now going to be mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Should I not be friends with him? See all these different things. Just start to name it now. And then, Sabrina, then oh, okay, my body just thinks I'm losing friends. Did you see where I'm going at?
Yeah.
Your biology thinks it's losing something. It's losing your reputation. It's losing friends that you've made in a new school. It's losing your friend that you actually really care about, right? And then the next thing you do, third thing to do, is you start to nourish it. Then you can use words to soothe yourself. Okay, Sabrina, it's okay that you are upset because blah, blah, blah is fearful that she's losing the attention. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Losing the attention is the same thing as losing your friend. And I know you might not weight it the same, but your body doesn't know the difference. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Notice it, name it, then you can nourish it with your words. Then you can nourish it, however that looks like for you. Being alone, journaling, doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because just remembering from abundance, he took abundance, but still abundance remains is this idea of that you being friends with all these people does not take away your quality of friendship for other people, right? That's from abundance. He took abundance, but still abundance, right? Your friend can still have the attention. There's no finite supply of that. It's not like you taking a piece of an apple pie and some of the apple pie is gone. It is infinite if we allow it to be. Because here is the thing with jealousy. It's a form of feeling scarcity.
I agree.
I've really taken a lot of the time talking here, and I would love for you to share something. What do you think about that tool? Is it too wise for you?
Probably.
What?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not helpful
No, I feel like it would be, but I'm very emotional.
right now?
Yeah. Still.
Okay.
It'll
Awesome.
take time.
No, and I honor that. All right. So then notice it.
Mhm.
Okay. Where do you feel it in your body?
My chest.
Your chest. Okay. Can you name it? Get the emotional wheel out.
I'm angry.
Angry.
I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Fearful.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's about it.
And then, can you give it words?
Make what?
It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel this way. Okay, let me just give you an example. So, I'm a breathwork facilitator, right? And there are other breathwork facilitators out there. And sometimes when you look at the schedule, or I'll think, oh, like why does this class get filled up? And my class doesn't get filled up, and vice versa, right? So there's a form of jealousy there, clearly,
Mhm.
right? And Sarita, that doesn't feel good. And I literally have to move through it, one, by just like saying to myself, naming that feel it in my chest. I feel heavy. It feels super scarce. Like my body's fearful. Like nobody's gonna want to come to my breathwork classes. Nobody's gonna want to come, you know? And I have to say to myself, Tanya, this is what scarcity feels like. This is how your body is feeling like there's not enough people that want to come to your class. Like somebody's better than you. And I have to sit with that for a while. And then I have to use breath work to move some of these angry, jealousy kind of emotions out. And then I have to say, if I'm talking to a good friend, like I would say, if I was talking to Christiana, I would say, and just, can I see your face? But yet using my situation and really using it, I'm like, it's okay to feel this way, Christiana. You've done your work. You've taken all these breathwork classes and coached so many people, and you've been studying everything, trying to be in integrity, being able to help. It's okay if you feel like people aren't going to want that. It's okay because you've done the work. It's okay. And it just starts to move things through, really acknowledging why I feel that way. And then it starts to lose its charge because then I realized to myself that I'm good enough. I'm more than good enough because I'm in the work. I do the work. As long as we know that we're doing our work and showing up for ourselves, the people who are going to want to be receivers of that will come to you, right? People who are going to want to be receivers of your friendship, Sabrina, they're going to come to you because from abundance, you took abundance, but still abundance remains. Even if those aren't your friends, there's going to be other friends. And again, it might not be in this year, it could be the next year. And that's really have to learn just to sit with the resistance and really, again, just come through and shining through your qualities. Again, going back to what we said to Maddie, right? What did we say to Maddie? Learn what Maddie likes. What does Maddie like, right? Because what Maddie likes, first, you're naturally going to raise those feel good chemicals in your body and you are going to shine out more competent. Exactly everything that brought those friends to you in the beginning, right? And that's going to be a boomeranged back to you. But I'm not saying to not have the time to sit with fear and sadness and all that. And even the jealousy, we sit with that, we recognize it. But because we're sitting through the discomfort and really going through the process of realizing it, that's when it gets to move through. And that's when those lighter emotions come through. People want to come to my breathwork classes are going to be the ones because I'm in the authentic energy of how I get to be uniquely my own way of serving in my classes. And the same with you. People want to come to you because you get to be the unique, bright, fun, courageous, confident, competitive energy. Competitive meaning always inspire people to do better. They want to be around that, Sabrina. And those are the people, again, that you have to weed out. This is the same with boundaries. You have to weed out the people that don't want that, right? I know it sounds like you're getting rid of people. It's not that. You're just setting boundaries and you're learning to eliminate being around those kind of people that aren't ready yet. I'm not saying that they're never going to be, they're just not ready. But what you get to do is just model the kind of friend that you want to be and the kind of friend that you want to have. All right?
Okay.
All right. So I hope that was better than noticing, naming, nourishing. Hopefully you can manage that. But I mean, I'm 51 and you're 15. So of course, these are some of the stuff that I still, like I just did that the other day. Promise you. These are very vulnerable ways of being to be able to share with. Okay. The last thing I wanted to do was to end it with a never have I ever game because talking with these emotions, nice so fun sometimes, but we get to end it a little bit more light. Okay. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So never have I ever felt jealous of a sibling getting more attention.
I have. All the time.
Never have I ever been jealous of someone's social media post.
Yes, I have.
Never have I ever felt jealous of a friend hanging out with someone else.
I probably have. Yeah.
Never have I ever been jealous of someone's grades or achievements.
Yeah.
Never,
not the phone.
never have I ever been jealous of a holiday gift someone else got. Me down. Okay. We named it. Okay. But guess what? From abundance.
He took abundance and abundance from me.
But abundance still remains. It's a lifelong lesson. This is all a lifelong lesson. Thank you for being super vulnerable with me. And hopefully we didn't lose people here because we recognize that some of these trickier emotions, we all have them. Notice it, name it,
Nourish it.
nourish it. Beautiful. All right. And then we are next week are going to share the both and concept. And that's something I look forward to sharing with you all. So thank you all for listening. Bye for now.